Alrighty, so we're gonna get started here with the live stream. Again, if you have questions along the way, feel free to use the chat with the live stream, or you can send me a message via email or Edsby, and I will try and respond. Um, Especially if my audio is a little. I've been having some issues in the couple other live streams, so let me know if you can't hear or I'm cutting in and out, and I'll try and correct it as best I can. Anyways, we're looking at integers today. We're going to do both the adding and subtracting of integers, and the along with the multiplying and dividing. So all the base arithmetic methods with them. So best thing when you're adding and subtracting, if you have struggles with integers, and that is to think of using the thermometer idea. So if you think of it as a thermometer and you think of positive numbers as those that are in the positive temperatures and negative numbers as those that are in the negative temperatures, you can kind of use that to help you understand which way you should be going. Should it be getting bigger or smaller? On the side of my my note sheet here too, I've made this number line that you can do as well if you want. That will help you sometimes as you're getting used to the integers. Which way do you go? So if you draw that number line, just like it would be on a thermometer, that might help out. I have 0 here. So a couple things to note when you're working with numbers and integers, that negative numbers are smaller than positive numbers. -4 is smaller than +2. Smaller because it's lower on that number line. It's lower on that thermometer. Thus, it's a smaller number. So even though the numerical portion of it, the 4, is larger than 2, because it's a negative number, it's smaller. So the bigger numerical portion of it, digits are, so if it's -5,000 is bigger than is smaller than -4 because it's lower on that number line. So you can use this, and I'll show you how to use this as we try out a couple questions. So I had assigned some questions there, and if we look at a few of those. So here's some questions. I think there we go. There's our adding and subtracting sheet. So we have matching the expressions with the number line in number 1. So here's a way you can also draw the number line horizontally with the negative numbers to the left of 0, positive numbers to the right. And note that you don't have to start at 0. You start in the area that you're working in. So in number 1, where you're matching each expression, you follow it by taking a look at the first number you're given. So in A, given -5 plus 2. So you'd start at the -5 and move to 2. So you look along here, and this one here starts at -5, and then it moves over 2. +2 meaning it has to move to the right. So that's where the number line, how the number line works, is you actually start at the first number, and you move the appropriate direction to the next number. In B, you have -12, or sorry, +12, and so we start at +12, which matches up with this number line B. You start at 12, +12, and you move to the right 7, 12 plus 7. In the case of the C and D, where you're adding a negative number, C, we start at +8. That's up here with A. We start at +8, and we move over left 5. Left 5 because it's a negative number. So adding a negative moves to the left, adding a positive moves to the right. So you're getting smaller, and you're going down to 3. In the case of -9 plus -6, you start at -9. We got to get smaller. We got to go down that number line. So we're adding an additional negative 6, and so we're going down that number line 6 down to negative 15. So that's where that number line works. You start at the first number and then go in the positive direction if it's a positive number, so you go to the right, or if you're using the vertical number line, you go up. And if it's the you're adding a negative number, then you're going to go left or down your number line. So that was number 1. The next question I had to assign was number 8. So if I slide down here, number 8, I'm just going to evaluate a couple. So we'll do a couple of these just to get a little practice. Just going to write down a few here. We're going to do B, negative 9 minus 6, C, negative 12 plus 4, and D, negative 22 minus 4. One more, F minus negative. Okay, so I've got those copied down. Flip over to the questions. So these are the questions I had picked out of number 8 to take a look at. So we're working with integers. The recommendation is that you always change it to an addition question. Think of it like an addition question, then you can kind of get a standard procedure. So in the case of B, we have negative 9 plus 6. And what I want to do with that is change second term. So negative 9 plus negative 6. So from negative 9 minus 6, I'm going to change that to negative 9 plus negative 6. Now, I'm adding 6, negative 6, that 9, so that means I got to go down my number line. So on my number line here, I would start at negative 9, which is right here, and I would go down because it's negative 6. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. That puts me right here. That's at negative 15. So negative 9 minus 6 is going to be negative 15. We're going down, so the number should be getting smaller, and again, negative 15 is smaller than negative 9. In the case of C, we're at negative 12 plus 4. So we start at negative 12, and we're going on the number line, we're going up 4. So if we start down here at negative 12, go up 1, 2, 4, we're going to get to negative 8. Negative 8 is a bigger number than negative 12, and because we're adding, we should get a bigger number. Because we're adding a positive, sorry. In the case of D, we have negative 22 minus 4. So again, we should be getting a smaller number, because the larger the digits are in the negatives, the bigger it is, we should be going down. So it's negative 22, continuing down the number line, we should go down from 2 or more. 4 down would be 6. In the last one, we are working with E minus negative 9. So again, and I didn't do it in the last one, and probably should have, but you should change it. You can change it to an addition question. So this one we should have changed it to negative 22 plus like that to keep that theme going. So this one here, we got negative 3 minus negative 9. So we're going to add the opposite. So we're going to change it to an addition question, and the opposite of negative 9, positive. So it's just 3 plus 9. Getting bigger from by 9 from 3, we're going up the line, and that should get us 3 plus 9, 12. So again, if you change those subtraction integer questions to addition, add the opposite number, so the opposite being positive or negative. Opposite of negative 9 was positive 9. Opposite of positive 6 here, subtraction, change to positive, and then opposite of positive 6 is minus 6, negative 6. That will allow us to better understanding of how the integers work and how they move along the line. So a couple other questions that might be worth looking at. Let's look at number 10 in a bit of a description type of question. Switch over here. In number 10, Allison drew the following number line to show the sum of 12 plus 6. She's adding two positive numbers. So it should be getting 6 bigger than 12. Does the number line have to start at 0? Explain why or why not. Earlier I'd mentioned that you don't have to start at 0, and the reason why is because she's starting at 12, so her position is going to start here at 12, and it's going to move to the right 6. So if she's moving to the right 6, she doesn't need any of the numbers before 12. She could have actually started this at 12, or somewhere around 12, maybe 10, and went up from 10. So because we're going to the right, she needs at least start at the number 12, and then numbers to the right of 12, 13, 14, 15, and so on, should be there. So that's why you don't have to start at 0. You just need to start around the number you're working with. B says, does the number line extend far enough to show the answer? Well, 12, we go over 6 spaces, we're going to end up 1, 2, 3. No, it's not enough because we're going to end up at 18. 12 plus 6 being 18. So her number line doesn't extend far enough because she hasn't drawn it long enough, which again would be helped if she started her number line at 12 and then drew 6 over from 12. So to draw that more efficient number line, let's do that. So in the case of number 10, that more efficient number line would be maybe starting, so she could start at 12 or 10 or 11. Start at 10, and then I'm gonna actually markings on my ruler here. 11, 6, 19. So there's a little more of an efficient number line. You could start here at 12 and jump over 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So we could jump over 6 spaces here. 18. And that would give us a better number line end result. The last part had said, could the number line start at positive 10 and go up by 2s? Draw what that number line would look like and explain why not. So in the last part, it said start at 10 by 2s. So here, this is 10, 12, 20, 6. So if we start at 10 and go up by 2s, then we have this number line, and if we try and use it, start at 12, go up 2, 4, 6, and end at 18. So it does work. In this case, we can use a number line that starts at 10 and goes up by 2s. In a lot of cases, if you look at my number line here along the side of the page, I often put the markings in between, but I usually just count numbers up by 2s. It just leaves it less busy looking, and sometimes I find it, especially when we get into graphing and we have multiple lines on the grid, on a grid, yeah, we have to put lots of numbers, especially in smaller places, so we can fit questions on a page. So I often count by twos on the, at least in the spacing, to find the values. In this case here, even if we weren't adding a even number, and maybe it was adding, I don't know, 5. If choose to add 5, go 2, 4, that's 6, so 5 is halfway between 16 and 17. So it could work as well, counting by twos and then just using that last number, single digit, to be in between. So another way of looking at it when you're using these. So that's the kind of key part with working with some of the adding subtractive integers. The idea is if you need that number line, make that number line and make use of it side of the page, or make one on a single page that you keep in your binder all the time. Keep with your notes, and you can use that if you find it useful, or you can make one on the fly like these ones, whatever you find works best. But the goal is not to always need the number line, but to actually be able to understand which way you're going eventually. And so your goal is to try and understand subtracting 6. It's like adding 6. We're going smaller number down that thermometer, so we get the other key thing is to, if you struggle with some of the integers, adding, subtracting, then switch the subtraction questions to addition. Then you just have one process. So switch it to addition and add the opposite number. That might help out as well. All right, so the other section that we talked about, and I find this one is confusing in determining the signs, and that's when we're multiplying and integers. So if we take a look at some multiplying and dividing, there actually is a chart in the pages that I shared that shows, when you're multiplying, positive times a positive is a positive. This chart, I don't like this chart. It's really confusing. Like there's so much there. Like I don't expect you to memorize all that, but rather simplify it. If you look at this chart, multiplication and division, both sides, each line is the same. Positives, two positives, positive, positive, negative, 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 and a positive equal a negative, and negative and a positive. So both sides are the same. So we can simplify this chart down by getting rid of the two columns. Just say whenever you're multiplying and dividing, these are the things that happen. As well, what I like to do and how I like to think about it is that if the signs are the same, it's positive. And if the signs are different, it's negative. So now instead of 4 different situations, we have 2. Same sign, positive, different signs, negative. I find that is a lot easier to understand when multiplying and dividing. So if I switch back over here, multiplying and dividing integers. Same signs. Positive. Different signs are negative. And that's it. That's all you need to remember with multiplication and division is signs same means it's positive, and that when the signs are different, that it's negative. And then the rest of it is just a standard multiplication or division type of question. So if we look at just a couple questions there from the book. Let's take a look at sign there. Let's take a look at number 5. Start with number 5. Some questions from number 5. And we'll do do A and D. 5A and D. So in 5A, we are looking at negative 16 divided by negative 8. And so we do this in 2 steps. And it always measures with multiplication and division, it's just 2 steps. Look at the signs. The signs are the same. That means our answer is going to be positive. I'm even going to put the positive sign down. Now I completely ignore the signs. I'm not worried about negative 16 divided by negative 8 because I've already considered the signs. Now I'm just going to divide the two numbers. 16 divided by 8. 16 divided by 8 is 2. Even if I was typing this in a calculator, I would not use the calculator to find the signs. I would just figure out the signs, different signs or same signs, and then determine the signage, and then just use the division of two positive numbers. In the case of 5D, we have 80 over negative 4. And again, recall the fraction layout means that it's a division question. Fractions are a type of showing a way of showing division. That's why our division sign looks the way it does. It's because it's a representation of a fraction. So here we have 80 divided by negative 4. So again, 2 steps to this question. What's the sign? And then what's the number portion? Positive divided by a negative. Different signs. That means our answer is going to be negative. And then 80 divided by 4. Not worrying about positive, negative, just 80 divided by 4 is all we're concerned with here. So 80 divided by 4 is going to give me 20. And there's my answer. So I didn't worry about the negative signs afterwards and any of the signage. I just worried about 80 divided by 4. You can cover them up if you need to. You're just worrying about the numbers second and then first part. Signs are the same. Add them, or you're going to have a positive number. Signs are different. You're going to have a negative number. And if you use that, that really helps out determining that. All right, I'm going to do one more, couple examples here. I'm going to pull some examples from number 6. I had a little bit more of bed mass in there, some adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing mixed together. Pick a couple of the bigger questions, maybe. 6E was 6 minus 2 plus 4 times negative 4 minus 21 by 7. So try that one. So always use bed mass. Brackets, being inside the brackets first, then do anything working with exponents, then do any division and multiplication in the order that they appear, then do addition and subtraction in the order they appear. So you don't have to do the division first, even though it comes higher in bed mass. It's division and multiplication in the order that you see them in the question. So we do our multiplication here, 6 times negative 2 first. Different signs. It's going to be a negative result. 6 times 2 is 12. Negative 12. Got that first part done. The next part. So now I'm going to continue by using the positive 4 times negative 4. This is positive 4 times negative 4. Different signs. Answer is going to be negative. Negative sign down. 4 times 4, 16. And then finally, negative 21 divided by positive 7. Again, the signs are different. So we're going to have a negative answer. 21 divided by 7 is 3. So now I have negative 12 minus 16 minus 3. So negative 12 and like adding negative 16, adding 3. Again, you don't have to add the opposite portion if you understand how to get the right answer here without it, But if you struggle with that understanding, then switch them around and do adding of negatives. So in each case, we're adding a negative, so we're getting number to go down, thermometer down our number line. So we're going to have a larger negative number, sorry, a smaller negative number, which means it's going to be bigger. So 12 plus negative 16, that's going to give me negative 8. It's going down the scale. And then plus negative. And again, we're adding a negative, so we're going to continue down that scale. Left on our horizontal lines. 28 plus negative 3, or negative 28 plus negative 3 is going to give us negative 1. There's one example, that mix of bed mass in there. Another one to look at. Let's look at. So F is negative 2 times 45 divided by 9 minus 3 times 72 divided by 8. So here we have some brackets, some operations inside, so we got to start with the stuff inside the brackets. 45 and 9 both have the same sign. Positive, so our answer is going to be positive. Even going to put the positive sign down here. Good measure. 45 divided by 9 is going to give us 5. Negative 2 times positive 5 now. We have our minus 3. Do the work inside the next bracket. 72 divided by 8. Signs are both positive, so I'm going to have a positive result. And 72 divided by 8. There we have our brackets taken care of. Now we have some multiplication to do. Negative 2 plus times positive 5. Different signs. The answer is going to be negative 2 times 5 is 10. And then the next one, negative 3 times positive 9. Again, different signs. Put the negative there. When the signs are different, times 9 is going to give 27. And then negative 10 minus 27. Again, we can add the opposite. Add negative 27. So we're going to go down the scale by 27. Negative 10. So continuing down the scale, we're going to add negative 7. So there's a couple examples for you, or a few examples there of working with integers, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Again, if you need to, use the number line. Use the switching addition or subtraction to adding the opposite, if those help out. And then again, for your multiplication and division, nothing big and confusing, just those two simple rules. If the signs are the same, it's positive. If the signs are different, it's negative. Remember those. You shouldn't have too much trouble in division. All right, again, if you have questions along the way, send me a message via email, via Edsby. Wait till the live streams to get help with work. And we'll see you guys next week.